Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome to the Tommy channel, and this spotlight guide is all about overlays. Specifically, creating overlays in Adobe Express. Those people that have watched my content fairly recently, since Christmas, I've shifted towards creating a number of different overlays specifically for each of the various different platforms. So I've got an overlay specifically for Twitter, one for YouTube, one for Rumble, Kick, Twitch, and so on and so forth. So what I thought I'd do is basically take you through the process of how I created them, because the time it takes is relatively short, and very quickly using Adobe Express you can actually create something that's not only functional but actually looks good and is very quick to update. Couple of things to note: the Adobe Express, I've obviously got a paid version so I can access some of the premium content, but you can actually get a free version which doesn't have some of the premium aspects. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to create overlays today based off the base level, which is completely free. So anybody can access this and anybody could do this. So let's dive straight in. I've already logged into Adobe Express, and once you've created an account either via Google, via Microsoft, you can get access to this. And you're greeted with the first page, which is going to say start from your content, generate with AI, quick actions, or browse some templates. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I'm just going to hit the plus button, and at this point it's going to say custom size, square, landscape, or portrait. Because most of the time I'm streaming from OBS in 4K to YouTube, I'm actually going to select the custom size, and I'm going to put in the details for 4K. 3840 by 2160. Now, even if you're streaming at 1080p, I would still recommend probably having it quite big, because at some point in the future you might take that overlay, you might start streaming at 4K, but at least if it's at 4K you can just scale it down to fit your needs for 1080p, because they perfectly scale. So I'm going to create this new file. And one of the first things I'm going to do is I want to rename the actual page. So page number 1, and let's say this is going to be an overlay specific. Say we're going to do this for YouTube. We're going to brand this specific one to YouTube. The screen is already in the perfect orientation and the perfect size, which is a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. We don't need to resize anything. And on the left hand side we've got some buttons that are available to us. Upload, so we can upload our own images such as avatars, so we'll definitely add a couple of things, some templates, some media, text, elements is pretty much where we're going to go to for most of this. You can add some grids and charts if you want to create some infographics and stuff, but for an overlay we don't really need to. So straight into it, I'm going to go for some elements. And the first thing, I'm going to go for a background. What kind of background are we really going to be wanting to have? Neon blacks. If you look for neon blacks, anything that's got the kind of like the crown icon, they're premium and therefore we can't use in this example. But if you're paying for the premium, certainly you can do. And as soon as you select one, you get the image on the screen. And if I want to create a different type of layout, different type of look, I can select the one that's most appropriate. Now, obviously, we're going to do one for YouTube, so why not let's have red and blacks. And let's find one that looks pretty good. This one looks good for a background, so let's start off with this one. Next, one of the things I want to do is I want to create some rectangles on the screen, because what we're going to do is we're going to break up the screen into a number of different rectangles. A rectangle for our webcam, a rectangle for our chat, a rectangle for our game or our source. Could be a game, could be a video, could be Chrome browser, you name it. And lastly, a couple of separate rectangles specifically for adding things like banners and headers. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to add some rectangles to the screen. So next, I want to go to elements again. I've come into elements on the left hand side. When you first come across it, it's going to show all. Scroll across until you see shapes. Make sure you've got nothing selected in the top, because otherwise it starts filtering things. And I'm just going to add the rectangle with the black box. and you see it instantly appear on the screen. Left click inside and you can see that we can start editing. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a board around it because it's going to make life easier for you to see exactly what's going to go on with it. So I'm going to select white, and I'm going to also put a border thickness. 10 is perfect. Now this currently, if we put this up in the top corner, if we were to stretch this all the way down, you'll see it doesn't go to the edge, which means if we were to put a video game in this, it wouldn't size correctly. So make sure that before you set up your video game rectangle, you stretch it out so it's the entire width of the box, and then you can squeeze it down, and we know that this is the correct size for our video games. And it's also, incidentally, the correct size for our webcams. So I'm going to put this one on the right-hand side, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stretch that down until the appropriate position, and let's say we put it there for the time being. Next, I'm going to duplicate that, and this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this one for my webcam, and I'm going to line the tops up so that the tops are starting in exactly the same place, and then I'm just going to move it up to compress the space, and now I've got a box for my webcam, I've got a box for my game. Now I want to make the white edges, the outlines, roughly the same size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink down the edge until it's roughly the same, and I'm just going to adjust the size so it comes up there and we can see perfect. Great. Last box for now, I'm going to place it just below our cam, and I'm going to stretch out the bottom. That's going to be our chat. So straight away now we've got a box for our game, a box for our webcam, and a box for our chat, which we can import into OBS, Meld, EVMux, you name it, and set up the various different elements on those platforms. Let's do the same with a white box. We don't want to fill. And there we go. Cool. So I'm going to get rid of the first one. I've just made a box with the white one, and I'm going to replace the one at the top. So I'm going to copy the one at the bottom, which we've done. So we've used a different style of box this time, but the same process is exactly the same. We've put a border on it. We've colorized the border so it matches the rest of them. We can actually change that color to now white, so it now matches the rest of the design. And the other thing we'll do, we'll just make the border the same size. So let's look at the border approximately there. Let's make sure that they all line up. So back down to 10. And then let's stretch it out so it matches all the way. So we've got an overlay created really quickly. Next thing I want to do is I want to add my name to the screen. So let's say I'm going to place my name up in the top. So on the text, select our text, and what we're going to do is we are going to hit the add button, and I'm going to put add the real Tumblyballs, because that's pretty much my name across most sites. And the font I'm going to use is Nexa Rust Sans, which actually looks pretty good. And then when we pull it up to the top, you'll see that it starts looking and popping really well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to resize it, and I'm going to place it directly in the middle. You can see the pink line comes up to tell me that it's in the center. Perfect. Great. Now say I want to add a little bit of animation to that one. So I'm going to go to animation, and what I want to do is I want that to fade in at the start of the actual loop. So these loops are every 5 seconds. I want to get the text to fade in for the first couple of seconds. You can adjust the time based off the button below. So what I generally try and do is say 1 second in, and then I add an animation for the out, and that's also a 1 second So I'll make sure that it's on screen for 3 seconds in between these. So if it's a 5-second screen, every 5 seconds, the first second is it coming on the screen, stays on the screen for 3 seconds and then disappears off. You can also press the play button to see it in real time. And then it starts going. Perfect. Cool beans. Right, so there our name is on the screen, and you can drag this back so you can see where it is. And I'm just going to squash that down to make the screen bigger again. Next element I'm going to add is my logo. So I'm going to go into my uploads. I'm going to find my logo. Now, most people will probably have a logo that's transparent that you can add. And there's mine. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to squeeze this down, and I'm just going to position it so the top of the logo is just inside the box. And I'm just going to update the size until it's approximately in the correct place, which is about there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the text of my name a little bit more across, and now we've got a overlay with our logo. We've got our name on the page. Perfect. What else can we add on here? Well, this bottom bar I usually use for things like banners from Social Stream Ninja. I could add a YouTube logo if this is specifically for YouTube. So that's what I'll do. I'll go to my logos, which I've already downloaded. You can find all of these resources online free of charge. So just search for YouTube logo transparent. And what that will do, that will give you this icon. And at which point you can do exactly the same as what we did with our logo. I'm just going to position him so he looks about right. I'm going to use the up and down arrows so I can position him correctly. And there we go. We have got a quite nice looking, very, very simple, and ultimately didn't take that long layout for our overlay. When you're ready to use this, it's just a case of hitting the download button. If you download it in MP4, you'll be able to use that straight into OBS. Obviously, scale it down in OBS if you're using 1080p, but you'll be able to use this in OBS with no problem. And because this is saved in the cloud, if I want to download it as the 1080p, I can do. If I want to leave it as 4K, I can do. But you're able to select, hit the download, and it will start downloading. And once it's downloading, so absolutely tiny, and if I was to double click on this and open this up locally, there's my overlay, and I'm just checking that the screen works. Perfect. And then it goes on to some of the other ones I've created. If you wanted to then do more with this one, see at the bottom corner where we've got add page, but we've also got page actions. Hit the page actions, we can now duplicate. And say I wanted to now make this one for Rumble instead. This is where the speed comes in. Rumble. I'm going to replace, hit the button for replace with an upload. I'm going to find the Rumble icon. There's my Rumble icon. I'm going to resize it. One thing that we want to do is change the background, because obviously Rumble's a green icon. So what I want to do is I'm going to left click on the screen in the back. It highlights the background. I want to hit replace. I want to replace with backgrounds. And this time, because it's a green, I want to go green neons. It will show me a list of the green neons. I'll find one that works, that's quite nice. No, that one's fairly plain, looks quite good. I like this one, it's a little bit digitized. It's not a premium color, but we've also got this one, which is also pretty good, but there's not too much green there. I really want to emphasize that it's on a green platform. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And if I want to use that one as well, hit download, and exactly the same thing again. Hit download, wait for it to render, wait for it to download, and there you got a Rumble one as well. So your first one probably take you 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to make. Your second, minutes. The next one, minutes. Now, say I want to rearrange the layout ever so slightly. Say I'm going to do one for Twitter, and I want to redo the layout ever so slightly, so the webcam's on the right hand side, chat's on the right, and the games are on the left hand side. Well, all of the elements are already created. So once that renders, that's downloading. All of this is already created. So I'm just going to move these over. I'm going to move this, make sure it lines up with the edges of our existing things. Wrong one. I'm going to grab our webcam, put our webcam, make sure that the pink lines are all lining up. Excellent. I'm going to replace this. And do you know what? I'm going to put the logo for Twitter down in this corner. I'm going to replace that with an upload. Find my Twitter logo, which is this one. I'm going to put my avatar over here. And I'm going to put my name down the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the text this time, because there's a little bit of difficulty reading the text here. I'm actually going to put around the text, I'm actually going to put a stroke. So if you come over here, you can see an outline. So this red line just indicates that there's going to be an outline there. And I'm going to select black. And you can see that it's a little bit easier to see now. The same effect is in place, so if I was to play that, the wash would come in and go out, and I can put my banner at the top now. So again, very, very easy. Takes you seconds now to do. I could replace that with the kick one, because I know that's not transparent. So bang, there we go. Kick's done. If I want to change the background again, I can select the background just right at the bottom, left click, replace with a background, and I can choose a different green this time. There we go. Perfect. Happy days. You can also, if you really want to, you can actually replace it with a image that you've created if you want to, but you don't have to. But you can replace it with an upload. Go find an image, and in this case what we'll do, we'll go into Hump Day Chinwag, and I'm just going to find a background, and there we go. A little bit of a different background, easy peasy. So thank you very much indeed. If you've got any questions, drop them into the comments down below, and I'll answer them as soon as possible. As I said, Adobe Express is free. You don't have to pay for the premium license or the premium skins or any of that stuff. You can get by with what you've got. And all you've got to do after this is just import it into OBS, make it your bottom element within a scene, and place your webcam over the top of it. Place your chat over the top of it. And if you catch my previous video, you'll actually see me do this actually live with a Rumble overlay. So check that video out. Until next time, guys, look after yourselves. Thank you very much indeed for paying attention, and I shall catch you on the next one. Bye for now.